So little happens in this book, but it still takes a whole book to make it all happen. This is Path of Daggers, the 8th book in the Wheel of Time, and by this time, I'm not going to worry about spoilers because I feel like the people who watch a video about the 8th book will be the ones who have already read it or don't care about spoilers. So I will not be spoiler free here. If you have read The Wheel of Time or have heard about it, you've heard about the slog, the portion that's a little past halfway that starts to really slow down. I was starting to feel that already in book 7, and then by this one, there's a few little things that happen that are important to the plot, and then so much time is spent on extra explaining of details. Just the little things that Robert Jordan loves to take so much time on. There's a part where Egwene's group is going to a meeting, and so much time is spent describing how the women all feel about each other, what they're thinking about each other, all of their like climbing and fighting for priority, all just the little social machinations, none of which really moves the plot forward. It's just extra immersive. I'm sure the point is to make these characters feel like real people more than just characters in a story. And weirdly, at least I found it weird, despite all the extra time spent on the extra details being explained, then it would get to a scene where characters were supposed to say something, and instead of putting what the character said in quotation marks as dialogue, it would just say, and then this character said this to the other character. And I felt like those were the places that should have been more expanded instead of the description of what the character was wearing before they said something. So, if you are someone who has made it this far, if the pace of this book hasn't made you put it down yet, then you're probably good to go for the rest. I am saying that as someone who has not finished the series yet, but after reading the 8th book, I do plan on continuing. From what I understand, the slog, the super slowed down part, is at least a couple of more books, and then it starts to pick up again towards the end. So, the stuff that actually happens. Nothing with Matt. This is a Mattless book. There is no Matt. A couple of characters mention him, like what he must be doing or like thinking about him or whatever, but he does not make an appearance in this one. The girls that he was sent after have left him behind, and we don't even get to know what he's doing right now. Perrin, on the other hand, we get enough of Perrin's side. He meets back up with Elias, and Elias decides to give him marriage advice. Perrin's been in this awkward situation where he knows that Berylane likes him more than she should, but he's a married man. He cares nothing for Berylane. He cares about Fael. That's hard to say. But Fael always feels mad at him, and he doesn't know why, because he's trying to be so kind. He has always been bigger and stronger and has to try to be calm and gentle. He doesn't want to ever accidentally hurt someone, especially not Fael, who he loves the most. So Elias is giving him this marriage advice of, your wife is going to think that you don't respect her because you think she can't stand up to you, so you're treating her like a little porcelain doll. You need to yell at her, and then she'll feel like you respect her because you're showing her that you believe she can stand up to you. And that goes so against how Perrin has always practiced being as a person, and especially caring about people he loves. But then once he tries it, it works. And I think he's really surprised that it works. But at this point, he's gotten to know Fael well enough that he's not super surprised that it works. What's surprising is more just how well she responds to him being a little more brusque and forceful with her. And then a theory that I have had for a while is that Nynaeve will somehow try to heal the taint on Saidin. And not so much that my theory is specifically about Nynaeve. I think Nynaeve might be the one who's able to like unlock how, but I've had this feeling that that's going to have to happen to open the new age of Aes Sedai or the next turning of the wheel or whatever. And then in this book, Rand has this thought of, I'm going to have to heal Saidin. And so I was like, haha, I'm on the right track, but not necessarily Nynaeve, or at least not her alone. It might be one of those things where male and female Aes Sedai have to come together and somehow link together, because female Aes Sedai can't even sense sighting. It's like blank. So it'll probably have to be this mutual effort, but I still think it's going to happen at some point. Speaking of Nynaeve, she loves being married. She loves that Lan is her husband. The other women kind of tease her a little bit. Nynaeve hates the nights when they're traveling, that she doesn't get to sleep in the same place as him. That's something she's gotten used to. Things aren't all like, and then they get married and live happily ever after for them. Lan still needs to heal from the break that he went through, and he needs to be passed on as Nynaeve's warder. So there's still some work that needs to be done there. That's something that I'm sure will happen by the end. I'm still annoyed by the whole Elaine, Avienda, Min all loving Rand and him loving them. Super weird. I like that finally, one of the things that does happen is that Elaine gets home. She gets to go in and claim her right to the throne. That happened pretty close to the end of this one, so I think a lot of book 9 will revolve around how she handles trying to come in and get what is rightfully hers. A lot of political machinations around the people who don't want to let her have the throne and who want to assert their rights for it. She's not going to be able to just come in and have easy access. There's going to be a fight. There's probably going to be something where she needs Rand's help but doesn't want to ask Rand because she wants to be able to do it without him. There was this whole tension of Rand is saving the throne for Elaine and he'll give it to her, but really it was never his to give. It is hers by right, and she doesn't need him to give her anything. So I think that tension is going to come more to a head in the next book. But really, to me, the standout thing that happened in this one, that happened, and then we don't really see the effect of it yet. I'm sure a lot of book 9 is also going to revolve around Egwene. And you know, I don't feel like it's ever the good guy in a story who gains power or gains a position with potential power, declares a state of emergency or declares war to give themselves emergency powers that they can then hold on to have more control over the situation, over people. I'm kind of disappointed in Egwene. She was kind of put into a position where she didn't have a lot of choices. She was made a figurehead. She was made like this fake Amerlin's seat that the others could control. But because she's Amerlin's seat, she wants to actually do the job, and so she has to either submit to the ones who want to control her and use her, or take control herself. So I feel like we, reading, are put into a position of, do we support the character who's actually trying to do the right thing, even if she's making decisions that are not usually what the hero would do? And I think Rand's kind of in the same position. Like, these are supposed to be the people who are saving the world, beat the big bad enemy, but then they're forced into making choices that they would not have otherwise made. So you want to root for the character, but you also want to root for them to make good decisions. So it's like, what do? I don't know. Read and find out, I guess. I have 6 left, 3 of which were written by Robert Jordan alone, and then the 3 where Sanderson comes in and helps, and they get much longer. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys a lot. I will link my Patreon and my Instagram, and onward through the Wheel of Time. Happy reading. Bye.